My name's Gwen, and when I came to Kids Inspire, I'd just been diagnosed with autism and ADHD. And I didn't really understand what those things meant. And I think when you go through the medical system, it's a lot about there's something wrong with you. There isn't, but that was the message I was getting at the time. I'd been struggling for a long while, so I was diagnosed later on. And I'd say a lot of the problems really started when I was around 16 in terms of sensory processing disorder problems, but I didn't know what they were. So, like noises, communication problems. I didn't really ever integrate socially. I found social activities very tiring. I was very productive, but it was because I was running on a huge amount of anxiety. I think there was also a big gap between me and my family in terms of there was this trying to understand what was going on. And when I came to Kids Inspire, I had a drama and art therapist, and I had 20 weeks of therapy that had a really holistic approach. So I was looked at as a person, and a person who needed more understanding of how their mind worked, needed support with framing things in a way that I could understand, and support so that I could really excel. What I think one of the big key takeaways I think that was in one of the lessons, because I also had a lesson, not a lesson, session rather, with my family. I remember the therapist saying that Gwen's mind can't move to meet yours, you have to move to meet her. And what they were trying to explain to my family was that I have autism and ADHD, I can't change how my mind works. And I also really explained to my family that a lot of the things I was doing, sort of sensory wise, the overwhelm, these aren't behavioural issues, they're part of autism and ADHD. And to be honest with you, a lot of things really calmed out once there was that acceptance of that I was a neurodivergent and this understanding that I was neurodivergent. My experience with Kids Aspire has been pretty amazing. So I needed also support really with integrating socially, so making arrangements to meet up with people, going out, talking to people. I wasn't doing any of these things. And so I would say I was very isolated. And so the voice really helped with that because it created a framework where I didn't have to worry about organizing the social activities. That really helped me start to take the next steps out because after my therapy, it was okay, we've got an understanding of what this is. There's a much clearer mind and thought process. Because when I came to Kids Inspire, I was having loads of migraines. I was in constant pain, which was part of the overwhelm from the autism from it and burnout from not being diagnosed. And when I was diagnosed, not having that understanding. And what I went on to do whilst I was a part of The Voice is I actually applied to complete several technical courses. So I hold now several engineering qualifications, and I recently just completed my manufacturing exam. So it was really positive. And I also went on as I was sort of finishing The Voice, I started making these fidgets, which I've got some of here, and I started selling those in the town. That was sort of my branching off point to go back really into society and life and start building things that other people really enjoyed, but also really leaned into my how my mind works. So thinking images, pictures, objects. I started a company, so design and engineering company, and I also put in for the King's Trust. So it's been over a year since then, and I'm now officially a King's Trust business. I've also received a grant for them, which has paid for lasers and contributed towards printing and things like that. And I've also gone on to participate in several other things. So I also participated in the Samsung national competition, was one of the finalists. I also went on to participate in a hackathon, which is like this tech event where people compete and we have 48 hours to solve a real world problem. I won that competition with a friend and we actually got plane tickets to go to San Francisco and we went there for several weeks and that was pretty amazing. I'd say that the support I received from Kids Inspire really helped integrate me and also give me the confidence I needed back in myself as well as self acceptance. I'd say there was almost before Kids Inspire, there was Gwen, and then there was the version I was trying to cope with, is in terms of trying to integrate. And what I mean by that is I was constantly didn't know that I didn't understand social things, which might sound a bit funny, but because I didn't know what autism was, neither did really anyone much of my family, so nobody would have identified it at that point. I could identify the bigger emotions, but I couldn't identify all of the smaller ones, all of the things in between. And so I was very confused all of the time and overwhelmed. And I don't really have that anymore. I'm doing things that I enjoy and love doing, to be honest with you. And so you can actually see behind me my designs. These are some play sets I'm making. I'm now selling these, moving on to selling them online. I'm selling them in stores. So to go from where I was, which was not having any understanding, to now owning a company, having several national awards, having engineering qualifications. Also, I've recently been working on an application to help people with cooking, meal prep, and cleanup who are neurodivergent or disabled. So if you're also partially sighted or blind or you have a learning disability, this application's won some funding and also support from a larger organisation recently. So I'm really getting to create more support for people like me, which is pretty awesome. I think that there's been a huge amount of benefit that I've received from Kids Inspire. It's definitely changed my life, and I don't think I would have been here without it, to be honest with you. And I know that. So I'm really grateful for the support Kids Inspire's given me and the continued sort of support I get in terms of telling them what I'm doing and being an ambassador for Kids Inspire. That's really helped me.